Stir Crazy Productions, baby.
What's good? Matthew Shack from Stir Crazy Productions. You know what it is. It's Motivation Monday, man. Now I know you're probably looking in the background and you say to yourself, I know this cat ain't doing Motivation Mondays from the bed. But that's exactly what I'm doing. Because you're supposed to be motivated everywhere, you know. Especially from the bed if you're handling your business like you're supposed to be. But I digress. I'm just parlaying, man, chilling. Um, I do have a suggestion for you cats that are watching this that are over 6 foot, 6 foot twos, 3, 4, 5, and on. You got to get yourself a cow king, man. Get your behind out that queen size bed. Get your behind out that king size bed. You know what I'm saying? Because king size bed, my feet still hang over the back, still hang over the bottom. So that don't happen with the Cali King. But anyway, with all that being said, live and direct from my big, huge, and comfortable Cali King bed, I will get into today's topic. And today's topic is excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just enjoying my bed. Today's topic is the game is easy, but it's complicated. The game is easy, but it's complicated. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, as my laptop slides off my chest, but I got them hands, I got good hands, man. Um, but anywho, as I was saying, what I mean by that is everything that you see somebody else doing and they're being successful at it, you're going to analyze it and you might say, man, that's easy. What that person's doing is easy. I could do that. But the game is simple, but it's complicated. Let me use a hot dog vendor as an example. Let's just say, man, you're down in a work area downtown or wherever those guys are at, and this guy's got a hot dog cart, and he's got all these people buying his hot dogs. And you see, you start eyeballing the hustle, and you start seeing that this cat is he's making money hand over fist. You might think to yourself, man, I could do that, man. This cat ain't doing nothing but boiling some water and throwing some frankfurters in the water and putting it on a bun and serving it up and getting some ends for it. But the game is simple, but it's complicated. But if you was to ask the vendor and tell him that, he would tell you that. Hey, it's not easy as it looks. First things first, you got to get the cart. You're thinking, oh man, how much does a hot dog cart cost? Go ahead, since you're on the computer, go ahead and look it up. They run grip. The hot dog carts be costing like $5 grand, $4 grand. If you got the right stuff, you got to keep those hot dogs hot. Then you got to deal with having the proper permits because you got to have the proper permits. You got to deal with the health department. You got to deal with that. You got to make sure you got proper insurance. Got to make sure that the liabilities is cool. You know what I'm saying? What if someone gets sick? What if somebody, tries to come back and sue you and say that they got sick from eating your hot dog or whatnot? You got to be on point. A lot of times you parking downtown, you got your car there, you getting parking tickets. You got to get a parking permit. Make sure your tickets ain't going to be on your car and all that. So you'd ask that man, it's not as easy as it looks. In other words, the game is simple, but it's complicated. So that goes with anything. My father used to always tell me, Matt, there's a science to everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything that someone is benefiting off of, there's a science behind it. Just because you're not interested in it doesn't mean that it's simple. You know what I'm saying? People look at what other people have done successfully and look at what I've done successfully and think, oh man, that's nothing. That's easy. I can do it. Get out there and do it then, since it's so easy. Get out there and make it crack off since it's so easy, since you're eyeballing it, but you're not actually participating in it. Okay? So this is part of the lesson that I'm going to be given today. I'm a historian and I love history. And I truly believe in the axiom, if you don't know your history, you're subject to repeat it. I think that is apropos and definitely dead on correct. But today's person in history that I'm going to use is John Paul Getty, aka J. Paul Getty. If you don't know who he is, he was an oil tycoon, lived in the early 20th century, and he's also the curator of the J. Paul Getty Museum, among other things. And around 1960, he was considered to be the world's richest man at the time. And he made a lot of money, especially during the Depression, which was probably the worst fiscal time in the history of the United States. So when people are talking about we're in a recession, that's why, the economy is doing this, that, and the other. I always say you're in a recession, because not everybody is standing in a soup kitchen or standing in line trying to get something to eat. you know. So with that being said, I'm getting to this story because I'm reading uh, some of his books right now, and this cat, you know, you talk about your favorite rapper and how they're living big and how they're living that lifestyle. J. Paul Getty lived a rapper's lifestyle in the 1920s. Okay, The Great Gatsby, that movie, that was J. Paul Getty's real life. You know what I'm saying? He really lived that way. He was out of control, man. That cat was, trust me, not everybody is a cornball, but he definitely was not that. So anyway, I digress. Um, J. Paul Getty, he acquired some businesses because he used to acquire businesses. Business was, just like today, business is not doing very well. First thing they try to do is be acquired by somebody else so they can cash out. So he acquired this business, this particular business, and he thought it was viable, of course. But when he bought the business, he started looking at the books, and he noticed that one of the key components of successful business is to cut expenditures while increasing profits. And so he looked at the books and he's like, wait a minute, man. I'm noticing that these three factions, aka divisions of my new company, is they're not cutting expenses, but their costs are just rising and rising and rising. So him and his accounting staff went over the books and they noticed that it was these three top level executives who were in charge of these divisions who were costing the company all kinds of paper. Okay. So he's like, he had never really had an opportunity to meet these guys. So he said, you know what? I'm going to find out what these guys are made of. So what he instructed the accounting department to do is to short each one of these three executives' paychecks $5. Now keep in mind, you're thinking $5, that's not a lot of money. But in 1920, during the Depression, and these guys were making 4 figures a month in salary, the average persons would be happy to make 4 figures a month in salary. We're talking about 80 years ago, 90 years ago. Okay? So keep that in mind. So that's probably the equivalent of maybe 30, 40, 50, 60,000 a month. Pretty much. So you're thinking $5. Don't think of it in your money. Think of it in that money. Okay. So with that being said, back to my point. So he told them to short them $5 on each one of their paychecks. And if they had a problem, have them report directly to his office. After issuing the checks to those 3 top executives who were making big paper, how long do you think it took for them to realize that they were shorted $5 on their check and they went to J. Paul Getty's office? Within 1 hour, all 3 of those top executives came by his office individually. Don't think that they was chopping it up. Hey, Tom. Hey, man, I got my check, dog. Oh, you did? Yo, man, my check was minus $5. Yeah, George, my check was minus $5 too. What about you, Harry? Yeah, man, what's really going on? My check was not that. Okay? Each one of those guys got their checks individually, and each one of those guys reported to J. Paul Getty's office to find out what was popping with the $5. Okay? So, when each one of them got there, Getty gave them the same spiel. He said, look, how can I help you? Mr. Getty, you got to understand, this is CEO of the company. This isn't the Sally, the accounting lady that you can go in there and just be off the cuff with. This is the man who just bought the company. So you're not walking in there with your chest out. Okay? Mr. Getty, I got my check and, I went back to accounts payable and the treasurer, and they my check was $5 and they told me to report to you. So I'm here to find out what's going on. In other words, where's my money, Getty? What's really going on? If you really want to take it gangster like it's supposed to be done, but you're at work, so you ain't gonna do all that. But that's basically what he's trying to say. What's up with my paper? So Getty said, you know what? Looking over the books and found out that your division, each year you're not cutting costs, and the expenditures are going up and up and up and up, and Marcus talked to you, and we had a meeting, sales meeting, and I came in and I told you how important it is for us to save money and blah 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 and all that, and you haven't done anything. You haven't taken my business seriously. But when your check was short $5, look how quick you came into my office to find out what was going on. So what I'm telling you is, if you don't want your checks to keep missing some money, you need to go back, you need to start cutting some costs, and you need to start increasing my profit margins. And you need to get that done. So he spoke to those three executives. Guess how many out of those 3 executives did what Getty said? I'll wait. 2. 2 of them got the point, got back, handled business, cut those costs down. The 3rd one, he didn't get the memo that was right in his face. So guess what? It wasn't too long after that old boy had to go out and try to find him a new occupation, because he was no longer employed at J. Paul Getty's spot. So this just goes back to what I said before. The game is easy, but it's complicated. Don't think it's so easy that you don't have to know the game. You don't have to study. You don't have to find a mentor. You don't have to talk to somebody who's done it before. You don't have to do your homework, because I don't care how talented you are. You better know the game before you get played by the game.
Stir Crazy Productions, baby.